All right, we're back.
We are back.
And welcome back.
Welcome back to Radio Nowhere. We are so glad if you're listening to a radio somewhere that you are tuned into Radio Nowhere.
And please don't tune off. Please, please. Oh, we lost that one.
Yes, we have an exciting show for you tonight.
We do. Thanks for tuning in again this week. Radio Nowhere is back again tonight. I'm Matt Leibarger.
I'm Steve Stein.
And I'm Matt Tackett. How are you all doing?
And first of all, let's talk about the music we just heard.
Let us do that. The song we just came out of with was a band called Tribe. The song called Red Rover. Seems like their bigger hit was Sleeper, but since we kind of try and play off the beaten path stuff, we chose that one.
I don't think I've heard that song. I'm not sure I've even heard of that song, but I liked it.
Yeah.
And before that, we heard ZZ Top. I'm Bad. I'm Nationwide.
And Funky was the sleeper last week.
Yeah, I heard about that. I've not been here in what?
I heard about that too.
3-4 weeks. Oh boy.
But I didn't. As I said, I didn't listen to the rest of the show because if my voice wasn't on it, really, what's the point?
Sure.
Well, we have a exciting new segment on the show called "What Would a Bear Do If You Petted It on Its Fur?" Oh wait, no, that's not what it's called.
We do have a new segment later on. We also have a guest scheduled to call in and speak with us in a little bit.
See, we've kind of revamped our position on guests, it seems.
Well, when we initiate the process, I think it turns out much differently, although I will still argue that we've had a great track record with the phone calls we've had so far.
I agree with you. I think it's been a really good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that.
But later tonight, we are going to be speaking with Dr. Marvin Smote, who is an author. He's a UFOologist. Is that how you say that?
I think so.
And a cryptozoologist.
Okay. So, do we know what a cryptozoologist is?
It's the study of hidden animals. I think that it's people that look for
hide and seek,
Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster and things like that.
Fascinating.
Aliens and stuff.
I don't really know a whole lot about that, but
okay,
it sounds like it might be interesting.
I just didn't know. That was a new term for me. Nonetheless, are we going to do Steve's thing here?
I think we're doing that later on in the hour.
I didn't get the memo because Steve does such a wonderful bang-up job of producing.
I do.
The memo about his surprise segment that we got.
The memo and email about the surprise segment. Yeah.
But like we said, we're glad that you've tuned in again. And in the meantime, we have some more music that may be a little bit off the beaten path. Steve, tell us what we're going to hear right now.
Next we have a song by the Thompson Twins, and it's called Doctor Doctor, right here on Radio Nowhere.
Elliott Smith on Radio Nowhere. That song is called Happiness. Before that, we heard the Thompson Twins and Doctor Doctor. You're listening to Radio Nowhere on Full Service 100.1 FM WJBD. And as we mentioned earlier in the show, excuse me.
Did we mention it?
As we mentioned earlier in the show that I have a cold now.
Yes.
As we mentioned earlier in the show, we're hoping to have a guest to speak with tonight, and I believe we have him on the line.
Line one, I believe. Yeah, let's see here. Pot up line number one. Good morning. Welcome to Radio Nowhere.
Well, you just tell me when I need to turn here. And hello.
Yes, hello. Is this Dr. Smote?
Yes, this is Dr. Marvin Smote, and this is, I believe, the cast and crew of Radio Nowhere, correct?
It certainly is.
That's correct.
Dr. Smote, we just like to thank you for being on the show tonight.
Well, I'd like to thank you for allowing me on to promote my book. So
why don't we start with that? Please tell us about your book, tell us the title, and give us a little bit of information about the book, if you would.
Well, obviously, I need to know what you said already. I don't want to spend too much time talking about myself, although I probably could spend quite a bit of that. I have had some amazing adventures. Actually, my wife and I are just returning from Canada, where we've been on our... No, just tell me where I need to turn. We've been on our latest expedition. But what have you told your audience so far about me?
Well, we said that you're an author, of course, and that
I am an author.
You're also a UFOologist. Is that how you say that?
A ufologist, but yes.
Okay, and a cryptozoologist, which we just talked briefly about. That it's my understanding. I don't know a whole lot about that sort of thing, but it's the search for like hidden animals, right? Like
certainly things like well, of course, the Sasquatch, the Loch Ness Monster, the Chupacabra, things like that.
What about the two-headed leopard?
I try not to talk too much about the two-headed leopard. Kind of a touchy subject amongst cryptozoologists, but it's a story for another time, maybe.
Speaking of stories, can you tell us a little bit about your book?
About what?
Your book?
My book. The book is called Unexplained Stuff, and it charts some of my most recent adventures into the unexplained and supernatural. And actually, as you know, even though this is just hitting bookshelves this month, I'm actually working on the material for my next book as well. This, of course, is Unexplained Stuff, Volume 17. Unexplained Stuff, Volume 18. Hopefully will be out next year. But look for Unexplained Stuff, Volume 17, coming out this Halloween evening at midnight.
Interesting.
It's being released at midnight, Doctor?
Yes, the witching hour.
So when you say midnight, do you mean like after all day Halloween, midnight, or to start the day, midnight Halloween?
Okay, it was my understanding you were calling me on the show to help promote my book and tell some of these stories. I didn't know we were going to get mired in the details and semantics of time. So please get on with some questioning that I can help.
Could you give us an excerpt of your book?
An excerpt from my book?
Yeah, that's correct.
Example.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you most interested in? Sasquatches, exorcisms, ghosts?
Big stinky monkeys, primarily.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I have seen my share of them. Now, please don't lump me in with those fools on that Finding Bigfoot program and those other monster hunter shows. I am a professional. I am someone who has actually encountered the Sasquatch creature, and not the same one, obviously, but I've encountered Sasquatch creatures numerous times.
Really? And can you give us a little bit more information about that, or is there a story you'd like to tell us about?
Which one of the 134 times that I've encountered a Sasquatch or Sasquatch families would you like to hear about?
The first time.
The first time was in my backyard.
And what happened?
Well, I was preparing for that night's exorcism, and I walked out to kind of clear my head, and I saw coming out of the woods there behind my house this big, probably 9.5 foot tall creature, and it was covered with brown and black hair, and it looked at me, and it had these weird eyes. It was just, I don't know how best to describe them. They weren't quite green. They were a little off green. And it looked at me, and I could tell it had a human intelligence, and so that's when I started leaving food out for the Sasquatch at night.
What kind of food?
Oh, at first it was just, scraps from the table. Obviously, my wife and I, we are quite the foodies, so we have, quite the leftovers. But eventually, I realized it had developed a taste for junk food. So I started leaving out large clumps of junk food for it. Donuts. It enjoyed donuts. It enjoyed French fries immensely. French fries, one of its favorite treats. Popcorn and Reese's peanut butter cups.
And Dr. Smote, and certainly we can come back to this topic. I wanted to move on to one of the reasons that we had contacted you to be on the show.
Yes.
We had a phone call. It's probably been 2 or 3 weeks back of someone who had seen some lights in the sky or something like that, and we thought we could get you on the show to kind of weigh in on that or maybe provide some more information.
Well, no, it's funny you mentioned that. As I am just coming back from Canada, actually, on a UFO spotting expedition. There had been numerous sightings here in the last month or so of, now when we say UFO, of course, we mean unidentified flying object, and this was a large thing seen in Kitchener, Ontario, mainly is where the sightings were located, and it was this unidentified flying object, and people swore that it was in the shape of a saloon.
Really? Like
So-
it? I'm sorry. Did you say a saloon?
I said like a saloon or a cantina or a bar. So obviously this is of great interest. I mean, were the aliens trying to make contact with us and invite us for a drink? Were the aliens trying to contact us and say, we come in peace, let us perhaps sup over some fine food and wine and get to know our cultures better? Alas, I could not track down this elusive bar or saloon or cantina-shaped UFO, and so my wife Rana and I are returning from Canada as we speak now, and as you said, you're talking about this UFO sighting in your neck of the woods. Now, where exactly? I know about where Salem is. It's in the southern part of Illinois, right?
That is correct.
Okay. But explain the sighting a little bit more to me.
We had a caller call in and claimed that he was in the outskirts of Salem.
South of town, I was
The
thinking.
woods are surrounding Salem, and in the sky there were lasers, or what looked to be lasers, shooting through the sky from an object that appeared to be, and this may sound peculiar, but you have to take it as a first-hand sighting, appeared to be these lasers were shooting from an object that was covered in wood grain.
Oh, typical. Okay, what else?
The caller seemed a little distraught and confused by the situation, and
Typical. Okay.
Seems like a laser set a tree on fire or something.
I can imagine. Okay. There is a thesis I've been working on, and it's one of not just alien worlds, but also parallel dimensions. Would you say that right now that you and I and everyone on this planet are, in fact, somewhere?
sure.
Would you agree with that or not?
Yes,
or no?
yes.
Oh,
of
sure.
course, of course.
Okay, thank you. Now, we obviously are somewhere. I believe there is a parallel dimension. In other words, a dimension that exists slightly like 1/2 second out of sync with us in space and time. That is an alternate dimension, a negative dimension of sorts to ours, a shadow world, if you would. And if we are somewhere, then this world would be nowhere. And it sounds like one of its ships was trying to break through the barriers from nowhere to somewhere. Does that make sense to you? I realize you're only late-night radio host, but does that oversimplification help?
Pretty much.
Yeah, sure.
It certainly does.
Okay.
Well, Doctor, I hate to cut you off, and if we might, could we call you back here in a few minutes? We've got a few business-related things we have to take care of, and I know a lot of scientists, you have your own things to take care of, too. It sounds like you're kind of in the middle of some directional traffic.
Well, it's getting a little bit icy here. Like I said, we are coming back from Canada, but I would love to continue talking about me and my book some more. So that would be fantastic if I could be on some more.
All right, thank you, sir. We'll call you back here shortly. How's that?
You don't want me to go on now? I can, please. I can talk all night if you'd like.
Oh, I suspect you're being modest.
You have no idea how modest I can be.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. We will call you back here shortly. That's Dr. Marvin Smote,
Cryptozoologist,
author,
ufologist,
I think is
and author.
and-
Yes,
and
and we'll be
author.
speaking with him again shortly.
Yeah, it is 12:31, and it is time for a look at weather with Steve Stein.
Do I get an intro this week or anything?
It's time for a look at weather with Steve Stein.
Thank you. Tonight looks like we're gonna have clear skies, low around 49 degrees. Tomorrow it's gonna be sunny with a high of 73. Tomorrow night looks like we're gonna get down to about 45 with clear skies. Monday looks like mostly sunny with a high of 73. That's your forecast.
Uh-oh.
Brucey's pick of the week.
Oh, it's a little quiet. What
It
what
was.
time is it
I
for?
couldn't hardly hear it.
Uncle Brucey's pick of the week.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
That
boy.
time.
So let's tell everybody again what the pick of the week is.
Uncle Brucey, Bruce Kropp, picks a song. Generally, it seems like he's had a pretty good track record from the 70s and early 80s.
Yeah.
that is fairly obscure, that typically was not a just absolute barn burner of a chart song, but still did reasonably well, and he brings in a few fun factoids to share with you.
Well, and this week we're going a little bit further back than the 70s and 80s to a song that was released again in the 80s and it was a hit by a different group. Bruce's pick this week is the song Venus by the Dutch band Shocking Blue, and Bruce says the lead singer Mariska Veris he thinks she has a cool voice, or they.
We'll find out.
And he said he's always liked the beat to the song. So, and of course in the 80s, Bananarama had a hit with a remake of Venus. Yes.
So here it is, Shocking Blue from the Netherlands.
Is that Dutch?
I think so. And Venus on Radio Nowhere. On FM, WJBD, Radio Nowhere, Suzanne Vega. I think she does drive a Vega.
She should.
Blood
Suzanne's
makes
Vega.
noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blood does make noise.
And before that, what did we hear?
We heard Uncle Brucey's pick of the week, and his pick of the week this week was Venus by the band Shocking Blue.
Who's inviting Uncle Brucey to Thanksgiving this year? Just out of curiosity.
I thought we were going to have the WJBD Radio Nowhere Thanksgiving special.
Okay.
That sounds like a good plan to me.
I was planning on bringing sweet potatoes.
I just didn't know who was inviting Uncle Brucey this year. I didn't want him to be left out. And
Oh, no.
okay, good.
Speaking of real quick, of nothing, I guess, but speaking of things we need to do, I have figured out how to get the phone lines to dial out, and I have brought Dr. Marvin Smote back on the phones with us. Good morning again, Dr. Smote.
Oh, hi. This is Dr. Smote.
Dr.
Ron Smote.
Oh, Dr. Ronna Smote. Hey, you've caught me off guard.
So you're Marvin's wife, correct?
Correct.
And you're a doctor also?
Yes.
And what kind of doctor are you?
Oh, you know what? Hold on one second. We're trying to get out of Canada.
Well, you know, I hear that's kind of a problem sometimes. One of our friends, he got lost
really
up there, and he, for some reason, they ended up in Canada by mistake. Some friends of ours did, and they couldn't get out because they had their kids with them. And they didn't have passports. I mean, that's just ill-advised.
That is.
So getting out of Canada.
Kind of a common problem, I think.
I hear that's a common problem.
It's not that common.
Okay, well, here's more.
All right, Dr. Smote?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Mr. Marvin Smote, Dr. Marvin Smote. Yes, sir.
Dr. Marvin Smote, please. Doctor, yes.
Our one of our co-hosts of our show had a quick question for you.
Yes.
Steve Stein on with Dr. Marvin Smote. Steve?
Yeah. I'm somewhat familiar with the whole cryptozoology field.
Are you sure?
No.
You can't even seem to pronounce it.
Well, that might be true. I was curious if you were aware of a colleague of yours, a Dr. Cecil Gerke.
Is this a joke?
Nope. No,
Is this a joke?
It's not a joke. I just, like I said, I'm somewhat familiar and know that he has very different views about a lot of things than you, and just kind of curious to know.
Look, Mr. Steen, let me tell you something.
That's Stein, but go ahead.
This is a serious profession. I am ufologist. I'm an exorcist. I'm a cryptozoologist. I'm a Pilates instructor. I am a very serious man with a serious profession. I have many degrees. And Dr. Gerke, this Cecil Gerke you're talking about, he is, for lack of a better word, he is a lunatic. He is not even to be mentioned. I thought you wanted to talk about me and the 17 volumes of unexplained stuff that I have in print now. You do realize that I'm the first person that has ever smelled a Sasquatch up close, correct? Are you aware of that?
We hadn't fully done our research, so no.
We knew you smelled something. But...
I did have a quick follow-up question to Mr. Stein's question.
So don't even breathe that man's name in my presence. Dr. Cecil Gerke is not. He is nothing. I am Bob Dylan. He is Justin Bieber. Do you understand me?
Okay, I did have a follow-up question to Steve.
Do you understand me, Mr. Steen?
Somewhat.
So
Good.
the follow-up
Have you got
question.
out of Canada yet?
Ooh.
The follow-up question. You did mention that you are a Pilates instructor, and I actually, Steve introduced me to the dossier of this Dr. Gerke, and I kind of just get the impression that maybe the biggest problem with you is your difference in exercise philosophies, as he's more of a Zumba guy.
Again, is this some sort of radio prank on me? Because I would really love to talk about some of my findings and not talk about that man, Dr. Gerke.
No,
He's ridiculous. He's a fool. He's a fraud.
Well, am I not incorrect in understanding that Dr. Gerke believes that the Sasquatch is actually native of this planet and you do not? Is that kind of the...
Obviously, the Sasquatch is not from this planet. I believe he is an emissary from the nowhere dimension, as I mentioned earlier.
well,
Did you not hear earlier, Steve?
Obviously, Bigfoot, Sasquatches, big stinking monkeys, whatever commoner terms you have for them,
and
are not of this planet.
Dr. Smote, we certainly didn't mean to offend.
Are you sure?
I can only speak for
Reasonably.
myself, but we did not mean to cause offense. Would you like to take this opportunity to tell us a little bit more about your book, maybe a specific finding that comes to mind, or some of the content that you would like to share, just to kind of as a teaser for listeners who might want to check further into it?
Well, again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm the first person on record that has smelled a Sasquatch up close, and I go into great detail, obviously in book 3, 7, and 9 about that incident. And of course, that was one of the Sasquatches that started visiting my backyard.
Can you give us in layman's terms, like, can you describe the smell?
I will try to do it in a way that you can understand it. I want you to now close your eyes and imagine a huge plate of taco salad.
Okay.
Got it?
All right. Now imagine that it has gone bad.
Ooh, that's...
Taco salad gone very, very bad. Month-old bad.
That's not good.
That's actually quite disappointing. I like taco salad quite a bit.
Well, you wouldn't like it if it's gone this bad. And that's why I always had to communicate with the Sasquatches, whom I ended up, of course, striking up friendships with a clothespin on my nose because of their rather offending odor.
I'm not real sure Funky would still... I've heard he's actually ate out of the trash a couple times.
Excuse me?
Oh, you were just talking about how it was bad. And
I'm sorry, that's irrelevant information, Dr. Smote. I apologize for that.
You know, I do think it's rather interesting, though, that you would call me, and your show is called Radio Nowhere, and I have this theory about a nowhere dimension.
I was actually going to mention
Perhaps
that.
that's why you're so confused. You're on the wrong planet.
It's possible. We often feel like we don't belong here.
Well, look, I feel like a lot of my time has been wasted. It could have been better spent examining. Well, first of all, it's taken so long to get out of Canada. There's a moose carcass on the road, and obviously some perhaps Canadian chupacabra was responsible for killing it. I could have spent that time investigating the carcass. Instead, I've been talking to you rubes about Dr. Gerke and other things. I feel like my time's been wasted.
If there's anything we can ever do to make it up to you, mate, you just please say the word.
Well, you could play Disneyland by Dada.
Oh, absolutely.
There we go. Disneyland. That is Dada on Radio Nowhere by request from a call-in guest that we had, Dr. Marvin Smote. He requested that song from, I'm going to call it 93. Does that sound right? 1993?
sounds pretty close.
Okay. Well, thank you once again for tuning in to another week of Radio Nowhere.
Wait for it. We have one more thing to do before we wrap up.
Oh, yeah. I was just getting to that.
I thought we were about to do our closing statement.
No, I was just...
Oh, I was really worried there because Steve's been working on this all week long.
This is our new segment that I've come up with. As most of you know, I've been a mechanic for 17 years and kind of have always enjoyed history, so I've put together a new segment.
Okay.
And we also know of the segment because we got an email on it earlier
Yeah,
today.
I kind of was going to do something for a surprise, but that's all right. It'll still work out fun.
Here we go.
Throughout history, mankind has developed wonderful technological advancements. He's developed the wheel, made the wagon, developed airplanes, motor vehicles, and spaceships. However, man is not perfect, and neither are the machines he builds. That's why we dedicate this time to
Steve's Mechanical Problems in History.
And tonight, for our first mechanical problem in history, we're going to cover the topic of the Titanic. As everyone knows, it hit an iceberg and sank. But what most people don't know is why the iceberg caused it to sink. And really, the truth of that is the fact that they used too short of bolts, and when it hit it, they sheared off, and it sank.
So if they'd used longer bolts?
Oh, yeah, it'd been fine. It'd be floating today.
Really?
Yeah, too short of bolts. It'll get you every time.
If you watch the movie, can you see the short bolts?
There's seems like there's like a 3-second scene where they show one of the bolts, and if you really know what you're looking for, you can see that clearly it was too short of a bolt.
Historically accurate and
Exactly.
$1.5 billion in ticket sales.
Exactly.
Of course, they go into much more depth in the director commentary, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
This has been
Steve's Mechanical Problems in History.
You know, I think we may want to retitle that, though. Because it sounds like the problems belong to Steve. Like Steve's Mechanical Problems in History.
I'd say that's feasible also.
Like they're his fault.
That's feasible.
Were they not? It's your fault that I saw the movie Titanic, I think.
That's probably true.
Oh, well, it is 12:54. Somehow, incredibly, we have gone through yet another hour of Radio Nowhere.
We have.
What show is that? I know we're rapidly approaching show 20. Is this 18?
This is 18.
And let's see. This is the 13th, so the 27th, tentatively, Vending Machine Olympics, which we haven't talked about in weeks.
Yeah.
Myself, Chad Spray, you two, I think, aren't you participating?
I'm doing running commentary.
I thought we had 4 people. Because I thought we were going teams of 2.
You may, but it will not include me.
Yeah, probably not me either. I'll be looking for mechanical problems with the vending machine.
Anyway, we're going to try that for the 27th.
Sorry to be a party pooper.
It may be a 2-hour show. We're not sure yet. It may be our first 2-hour show, which would be show 20, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be. So it's an anniversary of sorts.
It's almost timed perfectly.
Almost. Speaking of which, almost timed perfectly.
Yes, we'd like to thank you for listening to Radio Nowhere yet again. And Steve?
Yes. If you liked what you heard,
Tell a friend.
if you didn't like what you heard,
Don't tell anybody.
ever,
Good.
Good night.
good night.
This has been an I Love Raisins production.
WJBD FM, Salem, Centralia.
ABC News Now, I'm Dave Schreiber. Talks between the San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit and 2 union